Alright, so I'm going to go on to making another one of these. And we're going to go look at maybe adding some rust or something like that to it so it's a little bit more random. Now if I was to use, like, let's say this rust right here. This is some pitted stuff. There's no doubt about it. It would be hard to blend the really smooth variation of steel with this stuff every once in a while. So challenge accepted. Let's go in and try that. Let's copy this image and bring it into Photoshop and repeat and wash. So file new 1024 by 1024 or 2048 by 2048. Paste it. Go like that. Take my eraser and erase out around the outside edge and anything I'm not using. Leaving no harsh edges whatsoever. Then take it, use Alt, and make sure that it blends from texture to texture. In this case, this one blends very nicely. You can see, yeah. Nice. I'll just get rid of that. Get rid of the background. I'm going to sharpen it here. So filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. And then we're going to save it out. I'll call this Rust. You should probably put these in a folder somewhere. Me, I always work off the desktop for everything and then organize it later. So here's layers. Disregard layers. Make sure it's a copy. Make sure it has a save transparency. What did I miss? I missed the 16-bit. So image mode, 16-bit. File, save as. So don't forget that 16-bit or the alpha will not save out. There we go. And then in here I just import that in. Now I like this texture. I don't want to really ruin it. Then that's where that workflow comes in, where I go into Maya and just take a second to go edit texture, save this out. And remember, I already saved a variation of this. By saving a variation, I can always use it later on. So here's steel 2. The other one was lighter, this one's darker. Okay, so now I can go back into Mudbox and use this new stamp to create a variation between the two. So you can see, well, this one's very rusty. So what I like to do is make a procedural texture. And there's not a really good way to blend these two together, so I'll show you a way to do that in Photoshop. Okay, so there we go, very high-res texture. Let's right-click on that and say Export Channel to Photoshop. I'll call this one Rust. Okay, now I got rust and I got steel. I'll take steel, copy, merge it, go over to rust, and edit, paste it. So here I have a little bit more control. I have bigger brushes. I have, this is familiar to me. And every once in a while, I can just go like this to get some rusty steel. Okay, I want to do that a little bit less. There we go. Good. Now for this, I need to Control E to merge down and then File Save. Then I can go back to Mudbox and say re-import Rust. There we go. So now I got rusty steel. And close that and update my scene. That should update all my meshes too. And now you can see the variations that occur make it really nice. Where that one texture, you really can't tell that much because on this one, it's higher res and in different locations, and this one it's different locations, and I can zoom way in. That looks pretty nice. I would say I could even get away with using it a little bit more on like this mesh right here. I noticed these red lines occurred. Okay, these red lines are probably from my copy merge. So let's go check that out. So when I went over here, let's undo a couple times. Delete that out. When I went to steel, they have this thing. So edit, copy merge, edit, paste. So I'm just going to get a little bit more of that rust showing through. I like that a little bit more. And then just make sure this is unchecked. Control E. Good. So it's not part of the original texture at all. Turn it back on. Hit save. Go back into Mudbox. And lo and behold, Mudbox has no idea that I've updated that at all. Alright, well, how do we get it to update? I can say import channel from PSD, and I can say Rust. And there we go. So now I can, that's a way of doing it after the fact without even worrying about it. I can just import it in at any time. Send to my update current scene. So here's a workflow. I mean, you're going back and forth to different applications. And this is a lot better. I'm loving this. This says old factory pieces, and everyone looks different, even though it's the same texture. Very cool. Alright, so that's what I'm going to be doing for a few seconds. I'm going to be making a couple more of those. I'm going to find one that looks more like pipe, because that's going to be a wrought iron of some nature. Wrought iron doesn't rust as much. This I'm leaving. These I'm leaving, I think. And when I get done, I should have a couple variations of textures for Maya. Okay? And then we can use these over and over again. We'll just have to clean up our workflow quite a bit. Get rid of the Mudbox attributes. And yeah. So I'll meet you in the next video, and I would do the same thing. You know, you now have this workflow. Try it out a few times. Make sure you got it down pat. Make sure you're comfortable with it, and then we'll go on.